A bit of an interesting message for you, Leo. I feel like for those of you who are overwhelmed, who feel like you want to withdraw, it's actually the time for you to lean in to that vulnerability, to get closer, to really find that strength or that resolve to be present in a difficult situation. And I think what you are going to find is that you are much stronger than you realize. You are more powerful than you realize. Some of you are recognizing some gifts that you may have not understood or recognized before. I get the sense that it's also important for you to take up space. And in doing so, you're able to get closer with others as well. I did pull a couple of animal cards to kind of set up this reading while I was connecting with your energy. We will get into the tarot in just a moment. But the first couple of cards I have are the Phoenix and the Oyster. So kind of an interesting energy here right out the gate with the Phoenix. Obviously, very powerful symbol for rebirth and transformation. And what you thought might be an ending, what you thought might be over, is potentially a brand new beginning for you. Now, the Phoenix is one of 7 spirit cards in the Animal Spirit deck. And that basically is kind of like a major arcana card. Each of these cards actually corresponds to a major chakra in the body, and this is all about the root chakra. So it feels like now is the time to ground, especially if there is some sort of transformation or you're putting out some fires in your life. Now is a really important time to find stability for yourself. And I think a lot of the time we think of stability as stagnation. And stability is more like balance, which is about equilibrium. It's about movement. And so I feel like as you are going through a transition, you're finding this way to remain grounded or stable in that. For those of you who work with chakras or energy, maybe there is something about doing things that help balance the root chakra, that help make you feel more grounded. This could pertain to things like certain foods, like root vegetables, eating things that are red, also grounding yourself, anything that's grounding and puts you in your body, any sort of physical activity, and maybe even connecting with ancestors or family or lineage, or even just community, because part of our root system and kind of the part in a lot of the Western world that we don't acknowledge about this is that the root actually does have a lot to do with our sense of connection. It is one of our needs. So it's really important that you are reaching out, especially with this oyster where it almost feels like you want to clam up, you want to close yourself off, but you do have this light, you do have this gift, this thing that's worth sharing. You don't need to hide. And I do feel like for some of you, you have lived a life of hiding your light because maybe you took up too much space or no one knew how to handle you, especially when you were a child. And you're kind of learning to take up that space with other people, but also for yourself. That's just kind of a message I am getting here for you. So already a lot of different themes that are coming up in this reading for you, Leo. I am very curious to see what comes through with the tarot. And as I am shuffling the cards for you, I just want to let you know you can book a reading or session with me on my website using the link in the description of this video. I do also have a link for my coffee, which is a one-time or monthly donation platform only for those of you who feel so called and want to support this channel. And I am deeply grateful for any support that you give with your likes, shares, comments, and subscribes. All of that is tremendously helpful in being able to continue this channel and putting out all of these messages for you. You can also find all of my other social media accounts in the description as well. And pretty much anything you might ask is probably already there. So what are the messages that we have for Leo? Show us clearly, please. What are the messages for Leo at this time? Okay. Interesting. So we do have the Six of Cups and the Queen of Cups coming out first, and this is showing up in the past. But I actually do see this as this did come out in reverse. I don't always read reversals, but this feels like intuitively what is correct right now. Some of you have felt emotionally disconnected from yourself and maybe even from a particular person, especially a water sign. So that could be a Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio. I also get themes of matrilineage here with the Queen of Cups, Six of Cups. I did also get the Empress, which I'll talk about in a moment. But it does feel like there is something here where maybe you're even healing or resolving patterns from your mother or your mother's side of the family, or even just kind of society's conditioning or beliefs around femininity or motherhood or those sorts of themes. And maybe even kind of like self-effacing, self-sacrificing, also feeling like you need to sacrifice yourself in order to be worthy. Those are all things that are kind of coming up. I'm even getting something for some of you about like eating habits, maybe disordered eating. That could be something that was passed down matrilineally or through your mother's side of the family or from your mother directly. And so it feels like you are kind of in this process of changing patterns, but there was sort of a catalyst of being disconnected. Kind of what you've learned from this, interestingly, is death and the Empress. Now, maybe there is a transformation. You know, I definitely think of that with death, but I do wonder maybe if there is someone who has passed or has crossed over with the Empress and the Death card, because it does feel like there are ancestors who are working with you trying to change certain sort of patterns. So maybe you're sensing that maybe like a grandmother or a mother or a mother-like figure, doesn't even have to be by blood, someone is working with you. I'm actually hearing Madonna or like Virgin Mary. Like that could also be an archetype that you're connecting with, or another kind of figure that is in that vein. It feels like there's also a transformation. Again, there's something with body that actually keeps coming up. And that might be part of like what you've been afraid to show or shine. It feels like you've had to conceal yourself. I think that could also be tied to emotions as well, like whether that's expressing yourself, even with like the clothes you wear, or maybe makeup or hair or some sort of expression. It's interesting that there's a lot about body and appearance and maybe even like identity and expression. There could even be stuff with gender here as well. And these are all things that are just very thematic. I think some of you are also redefining gender roles. But it does feel like this is honestly a little bit of a painful process. There could be some letting go with a Three of Swords. And yet there's this sort of energy of like, it's almost like when someone dies or something traumatic happens, there's kind of this like almost new lease on life, or this commitment to life, needing to live your life. That's kind of coming through with this Three of Swords, but it does feel like there is a transformation process. There's a healing process. You might be going through something painful right now. But do keep in mind that this is temporary with the Three of Swords, or at least it won't always be this painful. Because something has changed. Something has shifted. There is a change that oftentimes when I see the Death card, it's like there is sort of an irreversible change. Something has shifted in you. Something has changed in your life. There's not really a going back. But that doesn't always mean that this is going to give you this level of pain. Yeah, some of you really are going through a transition with the Two of Pentacles here. This is all about shifts, usually in your day-to-day life, kind of balancing or juggling some things. And so even, I did talk about movement, stability, equilibrium, and to me the Two of Pentacles is literally the card of equilibrium. So definitely let me know what this sort of change that's going on in your day-to-day life, whether this is your job, your home, your family. There's something here that feels like it's in evolution, and maybe this is just you going through a transformation as well with this butterfly. I almost feel like some of you have been in a fog for a while. You felt disconnected in a while, and maybe there is something painful, but it's somehow igniting you this time. It's hitting different. There's a change. There's a movement. You can't go back. And you are shedding things that are burdensome to you with the Ten of Wands in reverse. What are we shedding? There might be some things that are ending in your life right now, Leo, that are actually maybe a bit of a blessing in disguise. What is this Ten of Wands about? Something that has felt stuck or maybe like you can't get out of a situation with the Hanged Man in reverse. There's a lot of blockages actually that are being removed right now. And I do feel like there is a perspective shift that's a part of this. And I wonder if maybe some of you have overburdened yourself in ways that are somewhat self-imposed. Tell me a little more about the Ten of Wands in reverse. Ooh, the Devil. Yeah, there is some shadow work, but this isn't bad. I feel like a lot of you are actually letting go of, self-sabotage or self-limiting beliefs, things that have held you back, weighed you down. I feel like you're actually not weighed down. You're getting lighter right now. And part of this transformation is you kind of are being transformed by fire. This is a trial by fire, Leo. And so if it feels like things are very intense right now, know there is healing on the other side of this. Know that there is something that is actually really going to help you find a strength and a confidence, a power or gift that you might not have really even fully believed in before. And it does feel like there is this spark inside of you. You're being ignited. Something is being ignited in your life. And it feels like maybe, I almost wonder if you've had like family members. Again, I do get a strong matrilineal sense with this, but it could be the other side of the family too, where there were like creative aspirations or some kind of other kinds of aspirations that were maybe put aside. And maybe you were even blamed for that directly or, indirectly. I sacrificed so much for you. Oh my God, that's what I'm getting right now. I feel like I'm just getting this parent who is saying that to a child, like, I've given so much to you and you're not grateful. You're not appreciating everything I've done. And there's this kind of shaming. And in that shaming, Leo, it feels like you suppressed certain parts of you that you're actually meant to share with the world. And so maybe that's part of this transformation, that's part of that healing. And I am actually getting a sense of forgiveness with this as well. It's kind of like forgiving your parent for where they were at. That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it better even. But it does, it's almost like letting go of that. I don't want to say the word grudge, but letting go of that trauma. Like letting go of that anchor with the Ten of Wands, Hanged One in reverse, the Devil. This is a really powerful time to shed the things that just are not working. It doesn't feel like the time to persevere or hang on. Even though there is a transition, even though there are certain things that you're just going to need to do with the Two of Pentacles, I would love to hear what you're releasing right now. what is at the end of this? The Ace of Wands. You are finding a spark. You're finding this passion. And I am also getting in relationships, there could also be a lot of chemistry, maybe between you and somebody else, or like someone new, or maybe in an established relationship. I get that as well. For some of you, this could also be attitudes towards sex and sexuality. That could also be something that you inherited or was passed down or just societally conditioned into you. You are transmuting that. You're shedding that. So there is something really, really beautiful here. You are going through a rebirth and you are finding your fire again, Leo. And I think it might not feel like that right now. You might feel like, how is that possible? It feels like everything's falling apart, or I'm just heartbroken, or there's so much pain. There is something on the other side of this, though. And it's important that you feel this. It's important that you heal it. I also think that doing something physical like somatic therapy or just moving your body, we actually did talk about that at the beginning with the root chakra. That feels like a really important way to kind of move energy, because we do also hold trauma in our bodies. Obviously, things like the body keeps the score really talks about that, but there's all sorts of sort of somatic modalities and therapeutic models, things like that could be very helpful for you at this time. That's just sort of coming through, because I think I don't have anything against talk therapy. I think it's beautiful and profound and very useful. But I do also think it's important to have that sort of somatic and physical component as well. So things like art therapy, movement therapy, or even just some sort of dance or activity, exercise. These are things that are also going to help you right now as well, because I just feel like you're holding a lot of stress. And with that Ten of Wands, you might be feeling it in your back. You might be feeling like you're just sort of curled up in your body, and it's important that you're kind of opening your body up. That way the energy, the blood, the oxygen can all flow through you more freely, and it can help you kind of shift your emotions as well. So a lot of different messages sort of coming at you. I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some things to think about. This shouldn't feel heavy. If anything, it should kind of name and give catharsis to what you're experiencing. So if this felt like heavy, then maybe this just wasn't the message. This shouldn't make you fearful. So I hope that this reached you if it was meant for you. And you can find the link for my website again in the description of this video if you are looking for a service with me, whether that's a reading or maybe an energy healing session to kind of move through some of this stagnation, and to kind of facilitate that change. And I will see you all in the next video. Comment down below with this Phoenix. Claim that resilience, claim that new beginning, claim that transformation. You are so much more powerful than you realize, Leo. And I'm sending lots of love and blessings your way. Take care.